Okay, so okay, for example, let me away. Where is my Zoom? Okay, my screen is not getting shared. Sorry. Is it recording? Okay. So, for example, just imagine this is my original screen. Okay. So, whose width is around 1200 px. So, be careful with these dimensions. Okay. So, its width is 1200 px, overall width. So, for example, if I create a div inside of it, what is the width of that element? For example, if I create just for example one div I created inside of it, yeah, check. So I created a div inside of it. Let me change the color. What is going to the width, going to be the width of this element? There is nothing, no padding, no margin, no border. I just created a div element inside of the screen. So what is the width of that element now? Parent width is 1200. I create a child inside of it. So what is the width of it? 1200. Why? Because there is no particular styles or sorry. Please, thank you. One sec. There is online people waiting. Okay. So, hey Manjot, good morning. Yeah. So just imagine that I have my original screen, my system screen is 1200 px. So if I didn't give any property like spacing utilities, nothing but padding, margin or border. So what is my element width will be automatically how much? It will be also 1200 px only, right? Where is it? Okay, yeah. It will also be 1200 px because I didn't give any space. Whichever the whole space of my element is available, I was occupying. For example, if I keep an image inside of it, so what will be the image of width there now? It will be 100% width means 1200 px only, right? But just imagine, I just made a small, I added padding to this element. Okay. So now I added padding of 20 px. Now tell me what is the width of this element? Okay, let me give height also to these elements. So this element height will be 500 px. Okay. Now I given padding of, I'll give one by one property, padding of 20 px. So now tell me what is the height of this element, yellow color element, and what is the width?
460 width, sir.
Pardon? Speak out, Ravi. You are telling something.
460 width, sir.
Width will be 460. Height will be?
Yes, sir. Height will be minus 40, means 1160.
Sure. Okay, is it true? Whatever he is telling, is it correct? So tell me why it will be 460. Ravi, can you please explain? No issues, Lee. So whatever you said is correct, but you said in the opposite way. Here, width will be 1160 and height will be 460. Why? Because as soon as you created this element, default its width is 1200 only. Any element can take, if I create any element like a paragraph or image, it have the access to full width. As soon as when I given a padding of 20 px, it is going to apply in all the directions, right? So that means when it is 20 px means automatically what happens? Here 20 px space I am occupying inside the element, right? So if the 20 px is gone, see left 20, right 20, top 20, bottom 20, right? So automatically in the 1200 px, I lost 40 px width and 40 px height. So what is the width of my element now? It's not 1200 px. My element width now is, it's only 1160. So this padding will be not considered as the element width. Okay. So now if whatever the image I create, is it going to take 1200 px or 1160 px? 1160 px. Why? Because already I lost 40 px width and height. Even height also same. It will take only 460 px because padding I have used. So just imagine I just given margin of again 20 px. Okay. I given a margin of 20 px now. Okay. Margin of 20 px. So now tell me what is the height of the element and what is the width of the element?
420 width, sir.
Sir, check carefully, sir. You are telling correct, but you are going in opposite way. What is height and what is width? Don't get confused, guys. It is width. Okay. Horizontal is the width. Vertical is the height.
Height.
Okay,
Okay.
I need to teach the basics of
420
the...
is height, sir.
Okay, so what will be the height now?
420.
Okay, I'm not asking Jagan number. I'm asking what is the width. Okay, so it will be 420 height. What is the width will be?
1120.
1120. Why? Because same way. However, padding has taken 2020 px both left and right and top and bottom 2020. In the same way, margin also taken. Even though it is taking outside of the element, my screen width is 1200 px. It is not going to change. But whatever the padding or margin I am doing, it is just compressing the space element. It is what it is doing. It is just compressing it. Okay. So automatically here it is 20 px, all the directions 20 px. So left and right 20 margin and left and right 20 padding. So I lost how much? 80 px width, right? So automatically what is the remaining width in 1200 px? 1120. So if I create any image, the image is going to get only 1120 px. It will not get not even a single person more there. Got it? So in the same way, height also. Now height will be how much? 420 only. So remaining 40, 40, 20 px top, 20 px down, padding, and 20 px top, 20 px down, margin is lost. Okay, 40, and same width also 40, 80 px we lost here. So 80 px we lost, 40 px, 80 px height we lost, and 80 px width we lost. So if you go here now we are able to understand what is this model box is of. If you see, when I select an element, what all you're able to see? Okay, what you're able to see? See, clearly they mentioned margin, how much you given to that element, padding, and it is the original width of that particular element. So 1748 width into 19px height. Okay. So not only this, if you give a border to that element, even border also occupies some space, right? So for example, just imagine this yellow color is the border and it is of 2px. So now tell me what is the width of this element? 20px padding, 20px border, sorry, 2px border and 20px margin. Now tell me what is the width? For same width, I just reduced, I given 2px border, 2px left, 2px right. How much? 4px I lost. So what will be the width now? 1116, not 15. I said 4. Okay, 1114. Sorry, 16. Okay, because 2px left and 2px right border I lost. Same thing applies on the top and bottom also. 2px border top, 2px border bottom. So whenever you create an element, don't just imagine that if you give width of 200px to that element, and if you give an image inside of it by giving padding margin and all, that image size will never be 1200px. It will be whatever the space is left after all the spacing utilities like border, margin and padding, whichever is the left, that will be my original width of the element. So that is what's clearly mentioned here. So let me take some element here. Okay, so if you see, this is the element. Where is any border one? See, if this is the element, see here there is no padding. Okay, but on all the sides I have 3px border. Okay, on this all the sides I have 3px border and also I have a margin of 16px. If you see, when I put pointer on it, every time I was getting highlighted there. Okay, for just imagine if I just remove the margin and border, everything. Before, remember what is the width? 1748 into 19. Now I am going to remove margin of 0px, border of 0px. So now what is the width here? 1754 into 19. Height is not changed because there is nothing we change with the height, but I removed, if you see, all the values got deleted. Margin, border, nothing is there. So this is what called as the CSS model box, which will give the brief of your element. What is the width? What is the original width? So now this much width my element can occupy. But if I give any margin or padding, so let me give margin of 20px, border of 4px solid red, and padding of 20px. So now if you see my width of my element is reduced. So after whatever the spacing utility is given, so for example, even if I give width of 800px I given, just imagine. So now see, now what happened? So as I have more space left outside, what it is doing? It is taking 800px for my element. Along with that, it is taking 20px padding, 4px border, and 20px margin. So now overall width of my element is, what is the overall width of my element? Can anybody tell me? 844, 2020, right? Sorry, 888. Why? Because 20px margin both sides, that means 40px, and 4px border 8, that means 848 plus 20px margin on both sides 40, 888. So for example, same thing, instead of 800 I given width of 100%. Now if you see, you got a scroll bar here. Why? Exactly. So when I say my screen width is 1754, so I given 100%. So, but still what I'm telling, apart from 100px, take a margin, padding and border. Okay. So if it is taking automatically, for example, if I didn't give any width, then what happens? Within that 1754px only, it will consider everything, margin, padding and all. But if I make it 100%, I was making mandatory rule. I was telling you should take, element should take minimum of 1754px. That means the whole 100%. So I also mentioned that I need margin, padding and the border. So automatically what happens? The space is increased. It will go out of my screen, right? So that is what happened here. So if you see, where is my element? So if this is my element, if you see, padding, margin, everything is gone out of my element. Got it? So that's how my model box will help us. So whenever you're giving margin or padding to any element, be careful with the width. If you give 500px width and if you give 20px and you're wondering why it is taking more space, because if you left it freely, it should have taken 500 only, but you given particular mandatory width. So apart from 500 plus this margin, padding and border will take place here. Got it? So that's how my model box, padding, margin, these are going to get applied to my element. Clear? Anybody have any doubts? Online people, Manjot, Manikanta, Komala, Ravi, anybody have any doubts?
No, sir.
Clear?
No doubt, sir.
Okay.
It's clear, sir.
Okay, so now let's get back to our next topic. Layouts. Okay. Flex and grid. So what is the difference between flex and grid? I mentioned in the first day class, I guess. What, madam? Exactly. So flex is a one directional layout system. Grid is a unidirectional layout system, whether I can access both left and horizontal and vertical of sides of my element. Yeah. So now total how many types of layouts are there? Can anybody tell me how many types of layouts are there? What are the 4 types? What? Table, float. How many of you checked the float concept? I told you people to go through the float, right? Just now, right? Float spelling chepo. Spelling the ingam raadu kada. Okay. So float, nobody checked. Okay, so now let's get back to the flex. So what is the major purpose of the flex? So by using the HTML, I may create the element. Okay, by using the position, I can even arrange the elements. But every time, just imagine if you want to create the layout by using position only, by keeping the element left, right, top, bottom. Is it easy for you to create a layout? But is it easy for you to create even by using table concept or float layout? No. So that is where in the CSS3, we got introduced with first flex, then grid. Okay. So how this flex will work is, so if you go with the flex, there are few major properties under. So till now, how many types of display properties we have seen? Display properties, I'm asking. Block, inline, block. From now on, these are also get, whatever we are telling now, these also get added to the display properties only. Okay. So display. The first property, if you want to make any element to the flex, the property you need to give is the display. Property name is the display and property value will be the flex. As I already mentioned you, in HTML, most of the concepts, whatever the concept name is there, the value will be same with the concept name only. Same thing happens here also. As the concept we are discussing flex, so as the display property, we can give directly value as flex only. So how it will work basically? So let me draw a layout and try to achieve that layout. Okay. So just imagine this is my layout, my parent, and within my parent, I need to create childs like this. Okay. So 4 equal and 1 unequal box. Got it? So this is what we need to achieve now. So now what I'll do, directly let's get back. Let me take a section. So it is not a mandatory rule that you need to use section or div. Okay, if you want to make it a proper layout, you need to maintain, like, for your code purpose, code refractation we call it as. So you can use, as we already said, section, what it will do, it will hold multiple divs, or div it can hold multiple section, right? So, or else let me go with div only. I don't want to confuse you. Okay, so I created a, so now can anybody explain me what is the steps that I need to do to achieve this? Leave about CSS, HTML steps I'm asking. చెప్పరా ఏం చేయాలా? HTML I'm asking. Online people, can anybody answer? 8 aga. Why, madam? I'm asking using HTML. Madam. తిన్నారా అందరూ? తినేసి వచ్చేయండి. తినేసి వచ్చినా గుర్తొస్తుందా? పనికి రాని వాళ్ళుగా ఉన్నారు కదరా. నిన్నే కదరా లేఅవుట్ అయింది. పొజిషన్స్ ఐ వాజ్ డిస్కస్ ఎస్టర్డే ఓన్లీ, రైట్? ಏನ್ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರಿ ನೀವು? ఏనా పనరా మేడం? తెలుగు వాళ్ళు ఏం చేస్తా ఉన్నారు? వెనకాల స్ట్రీట్ లో ఒక బాయ్ ఉంది, చాలా ఏళ్ళ నుంచి క్లోజ్ చేశారు. దూకండి అందరూ పోయి దానికి. Okay, so let's get back to topic. So I have created a parent already. I given hint also. Now I need to just create childs to it. So what I'll do, I'll just go with, so you can use anchor tag div anything, but I'll use div. Why? Because I didn't mention any links here. Okay, I want just boxes, so I'll go with div only. So okay, so now what I'll do, how many I need? At least say this. Thank you. So what I was doing here, I was just creating, just given an attribute name class and given two different values. So if you see, I given two classes, one is child one and one is child. Why? Because I want individual class one and one common class. Okay. So now if you see, so let us create the internal CSS. So first one is parent, right? Parent, let me give border of 1px solid blue. Okay. Same way, dot child, I will give like border 1px solid green. Okay. Yeah. So now if you see what happened here, is my elements got created or not? So now tell me, what is the width of this element? I want asking width of the element. What is the width of this element? ఎంత? Yes, correct or wrong? Be loud.
1279.
275. Okay. So what is the overall width of this element?
1279.
Because I have 1px margin. Don't forget that. So now what I'll do, let us give padding and margin because I need to make it look good. So let me make it simple. Padding of 10 px. Padding of 20 px. Okay. So now if you see, this is how my elements, right? So now if I want to achieve this like this, what I need to make these elements? Without flex, how I can convert it? If I make it inline, I'm able to give width or height to that element. Inline block, not inline. Okay, inline can't allow me to do height and width, but I can make them side by side. So I can convert these by using inline block usually. But here what I'll do for the parent, okay, let me keep it outside only because you'll get confused. Okay, so flex is a property which always deals with the parent. Remember this, it will not deal with the child. So if you are giving flex to this one, it means that flex is going to apply if you create any elements inside of that element, not to that particular element. Okay. So now I want to give flex property to the parent only, not to the child. So if you see the first property, display flex I given. So as soon as I given display as flex here, if you go to the output, so what is output now? So the elements got side by side. Got it? So for example, just imagine now see what happened. See, overflow is created or not? It is going out of my screen. So because as I said you, flex is a one directional layout system. If you are dealing with the columns, it will go downwards. There will be no issues if we have a vertical scroll bar, but if it is overflowing in the horizontal direction, right? Why? Because whenever you mention display as flex, what it will think is how many child's elements I have inside me. I want to keep all of them in a single line, whether it is an anchor tag, for example, it may be a mixture of, I have a divs here, maybe instead of div, after the div, I may have anchor tag also, like a tag I have, okay. A tag I have P tag also, just imagine. P tag I have, okay. I may have H tag also. So it doesn't matter for it what tag I have inside of me. What I need to do, see, I need to keep all of them inside me. If you see, got it. So that is what flex. Usually heading is a block level element, right? What it is doing? It is just converting into a inline block element now. So each and every element is created in a single line. So that is what my flex will do. It will not care about whether it is overflowing or staying in the within the box or what. So it will always make the elements in a single line. Got it? So now what I need to do, I don't want this many. Okay. Let me have 5 only. So now I have only 5, but I want to make this 5 divide equally to my whole width. See, if it was taking, it is an inline block element now. Okay. So why it was taking only this much space? Because inline block, you know how much space it is required, it will take. If you want more space, you can give to it. So now I want this to occupy equally. So how I can make it equally occupy? So the width is 1279 is my width of my, sorry, 1257 is the width of my element. So 1257 divided by 5, what is the value? 1275. sorry, 55, right? 57 divided by how much? Divided by 5. So 251.4. Okay. I can give like this. So I can give, already I have a common class, right? What is the common class I have? Child is the common class I have. So what I can do for this child, I can give width of 251.4
4.
px. But it is not a child. But it is not a right way. Maybe I got here, but just imagine my screen width got reduced. Now what happening here? Now what is the width of my element? 170.2. So what is the width you given? 250.
251.5.
But so for every time, for example, is it possible for you now? My screen is, let me get it down. Now see what happened. So it is working fine. You given like 251.5. But see what happened here, when you reduce the screen, my element is not disturbed. It is automatically getting reduced. Okay, but when I increase the screen width, what happening? I am getting a space. Why? Because when I was compressing, I just mentioned width of my element. So I didn't mention minimum width or maximum width. I just given width. So when I say width of 251 px, so what happens? Automatically the browser will give my element width of 251.4 px. Even though when I compress it, I didn't mention the mandatory width. So it will compress automatically. But when it was increasing, it will not take more than 251.4 px. Why? Because I clearly mentioned 251.4. Okay. So now what is the screen width now? Overall screen of my parent is 1813, right? But what is the previous width we have? So 1813, right? 1813 divided by 5. How much? Now each element should have at least 362. But what is the width I have for my element? 254. So it's a headache. Every time if you want to give width by manually, it is a headache. So that is where a new property comes into the picture called as flex. Flex is also one more property here. So, however, display flex deals with the parent, flex property should be given to childs only, because I need to mention to childs how much width it should take. So now I want each element to take equal width. So I'll give flex instead of width. I'll go with flex as. Okay, you only tell me the value. Just imagine I have a width of 1000 px. Okay, 1000 px I have. Or else let me consider children examples. I have 10 fruits. Okay, and I have 5 people. Okay, so if I want to divide equally to 5 people, how many fruits each people will get? For example, I have 10 fruits and I have 5 students, but there is a small change to my distribution. For the first person, I need to give 3 fruits and remaining all equal. So now tell me, how many fruits remaining, how you can divide this? First person is 3, that is fixed, leave him. So remaining how many fruits I have? 7. So how many people we have? 4, right? So I need to divide that 7 equally to that 4 people. How many each person will get? 1.75. Pakka. 1.75. So same thing applies here also. Just imagine, I have 100 px. It is single part. So if you want to divide it equally, okay, whatever the width may be. So how many parts each one should occupy? One part only, right? So for example, I have 10 parts. You just imagine if my screen is, whole screen is, if you imagine 10 parts, if I want to make each element equal width, each element should take how many parts? 2 parts. But here, whenever you create an element, it is considered as only 1 part. Okay, so now whatever the child I created, it is also each one is, if I want to make it equal width, it should take one part, right? So that is where I'll give flex as value 1. So now if you see, if I reduce the screen width or increase the screen width, it is not going to affect my layout. If you see why, because whatever the space, if I have 10 px, that 10 px will divide equally 5 parts. If you have 100 px, that 100 px will be divided equally into 5 parts. So how much width it may be, it doesn't matter. It will equally divide that. Why? Because I given flex value as 1. That means I was telling each one should have a equal width. So if I give flex also, same. If I give 3 also, same. Anything you give, it will be same. Why? Because you are giving same value to all the elements. So each element will take same value. Okay. So you can give any value, but one will be the better value. Why? Because it's better, we are easy for us to understand and for divide. Okay. Now we created layout, but now if you see, I need to divide this element more space. That means same example we did. First person is getting 3 fruits, remaining person is equally. So here, first, second, third, fourth, fifth person is getting equal width. But third person have how many times bigger? 3 times bigger. So now tell me how you can divide it. Tell me what I need to do. Okay, let me take child 3. So what I need to do? Say we divided by using, say, whatever the problem we divided. Just imagine the example. It need to take more parts. How many times more parts it need to take? So what is the value? What is the property and what is the value we need to give? So automatically for the child 3 will give flex as 3. So now what happens if you see, go back, if we got the layout or not? If you see, so if I have 100 px, in that 100 px, it will divide equally for 4 elements and one element will take 3 times more. Usually that means it will be 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, right? But now one element I was telling to take more. Okay. So it doesn't mean that in the 100 px is there means if each first one element is taking 3 times, how much width it should take? 60 px. Remaining is only 40 px, right? So that 40 px will divide to 4 elements. That means 10, 10, 10, 10. But here it is not like that. So it will first create whatever the overall width is there. Okay. So just imagine. Okay. Now overall width of my parent is content is 1454, right? 1454. So now my 1454 will be divided into how many parts? Can anybody tell me? Exactly. 7 parts I am going to divide. Before I was dividing into how many parts? 5 parts. So 1464 divided by 7. It will automatically calculate browser. So what happens? It will give 209 px 14. So if you go back to the browser, $179, $199. Exactly. So yeah, it was getting same 221.1. Adding margin, everything it was taken. Okay. So 2010 it was there. Maybe due to flex varies. Cool. So similar 10 px up and down. Okay, don't worry about it. So because it's a flex, so we just compressing and increasing, it made there. So now if you see what happened, if it is just taking 210 px, if we consider first one, second one will take 210, third one will take how many? 630 px it will take. So remaining will be again 210, 210. So that is how it is going to divide. It is not going to divide like it have 3 fruits or it one. So overall width, it will divide by how many parts I need, and then it will give to each element. It will assign, okay, you take this much width, you take this much width. As you are taking 3 parts, you take this much width. So that is how my flex property is going to help me out. Okay. So Next, there is one more property. For example, now my flex is dealing with only row side. Rows, and just don't forget rows and columns. Rows will deal with horizontally. We call them as rows. Vertical means columns. Okay, I'll create now. Tell me. Okay. So one more property is flex direction. Okay, flex direction is one more property. There are multiple properties that you can give. If you see, again, flex is also the one thing you need to majorly remember is whenever you're dealing with the flex, definitely it will deal all the properties. Most of the properties will be dealing with parent only, not with the child. Apart from flex, all the properties will be with parent only. So flex direction. If you see, I have column, column reverse, row, row reverse. So let me give column. Not child, sorry, I given to child, right? Just seeing without, who is that? Just give me a minute. Ravi, can you please put your mic on mute? Okay. So now my parent flex direction is column. Now if you see how I got, see the elements which are there in the horizontal wise, now they convert into downwards. Okay, vertical side. So now each one is one row. How many rows I have here now? 5 rows. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now each row have a 5 rows. Height, as I didn't mention, so automatically it will take my flex properties is not going to let me give any for any child. For child 3, let me give flex as 4. So is it working? No. Why? Because there is a fixed width for me in the horizontal direction, but in the vertical direction, top to bottom, I don't have such thing. How much it will may go, it will take. So in such cases, I need to give width by manually only. Okay, or else I need to write calculation rules. Like if the height is 100 px minus 20 px, there is calculation rules we will have. VH vertical height and VW what HW horizontal width. Like that we have properties. So that we need to use. So, for example, so let us get back 1 and 5 I given. Okay, 2, 3, 4. So column I given. Instead of column, I'll give like column reversed. So now what happened? See, my elements got reversed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 became 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So if I do the same thing with row reverse, what happened? Same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 it should be. It converted into 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Got it? So that is how my flex will work. So for example, let's remove this flex property 1 and give a same way how we given width. Width of 500 px. Okay. I don't want this. So now what happens? Automatically 500 px is enough. Okay. So let us give more. Okay, that much width is not there. Because as I mentioned you, when the size is increasing, it's not a problem. It will automatically congest. But when we have more space, then it will not take. So instead of 800, let me give 200. Yes. Right? Okay, 200. So if you see now, usually my element should start from left to right, right? But now if you see it went to right side, why? Because I given flex direction should be reverse, row reverse, right? So automatically it convert into right side. So let us get it back to the normal row. Okay. So now if you see, I have elements like this. So as we already seen, if there is a space, no issues. We can manage it somehow by giving space or something. But if I have more elements, instead of width, let me give minimum width. That makes full like I need definitely 200 px. So now if you see, I got overflow. So I don't want to delete my elements, but I want these all elements within my parent. I don't want it to go overflow out of my element. So that is where if you want to make like that, a new property comes into picture. That is nothing but flex wrap. Okay. So nothing but wrapping my element. Okay. I was letting all the elements outside because row. Flex will do like that only. Flex will make all the elements in a single line. But whenever I give flex wrap property to the parent, I'll give a property called flex wrap. So what it will do? If I give wrap, so now see what happened. All my elements are there within my element or not? Within my parent. Is there any overflow? But there is a space here. Why? So I given minimum size, but if you see, so let me get it down. Now I was getting more elements. Before I have only 4, I guess, right? 5 elements I have before. Now I have 7, but still I have space here. Why? Because what is the major purpose of a flex will do is, just imagine you are going in a bus. Okay. 2 plus 2 push up. You have idea what is that bus means. So how many people can sit in a row? 2 plus 2. 4 people can sit in a row. If you go with the old buses, Pallavelgo buses, you remember. So each bus have a full seat, like 3 people seat will they have. How many people there can sit?
5.
3 or 4. 3 will be max here. 5 people who will sit. I was asking only 1 seat. Okay, leave about row 1 seat. Consider 1 seat. How many people can sit? 3. If you just adjust 4, even if you adjust 5 people also can sit. If you are adjusted. So that is where happening when you give the direct flex and normal elements. Just width, the minimum width. What happening? 1 person also can sit aram se. 2 person also can sit. 3 persons can sit aram se. But 4 people consistently they can sit. 5 people consistently. But how many people you want to make it sit on it? They can sit, but there will be a congestion, right? So same thing happened when I give width. If I remove minimum width to this element, so and give, see now how many elements you may create that all can sit inside of it with congestion also. So let me do one thing. Now if you see, let me remove flex wrap. Where is it? To the parent, right? See, even though I given these many elements, congested, and once the congestion is overflowed, I can't take it anymore. Automatically, persons will fall down out of my seat, right? Same thing happened here. So when the 200 px are given, they try to congest it. So now if you check what is the width of this element, 40 px is the width of my element. So whole element width is 82 px, but I mentioned it take 200 px. It try to congest and adjust the remaining element. But once it is out of its control, I can't take more congestion. So automatically it will kick out the elements. Same thing happened. But when I use the flex wrap here, okay. So what flex wrap will do is, it will tell that, okay, I have space for 3 people. I will allow only 3 people. For example, there are thin people, okay. Thin people are there. That means Sannaga Mugru vacharu. So I'll make them sit. There is a space for the 4th person. Okay, little bit. But the 4th person can't sit completely. Half he need to sit inside, half he need to sit outside. See in autos, they'll sit na driver beside. Half body will be inside, half body will be outside. Right? Same way, that much space only left. Wrap what it will tell, I'll not allow like flex. Flex what it is doing, it is try to kick the people into that space. But flex is like, I'll not allow like that. If someone is sitting beside me, he should have the full space he should have. Then only I'll allow the element to sit there. So if you see, these 7 elements have the space to sit here. But if you see with this element, what is the width? Each element needed 242 px. But is there 242 px space is there here? No, right? So automatically what happens? It will kick that element into the next row. Same thing happened here. So it doesn't have 242 px space. It will kick down to next element. So not even here, there is too much difference. But even there is a 0.1 px space is not enough. That means just imagine I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 elements I have. Okay, let me make it minimum width. Let me reduce. Okay. So 185 px if I give, okay. So each element width is how much? 227. So if you see, I'm not having the space of 227 here. But if you see minimum width, I just reduced to 1 px. What happened? It came. So what it means? Wrap will not allow even if there is 1 px difference. Wrap will allow the element in a row only if there is a space, whole space required. If it have there, it will sit. If it doesn't have the space, what happens? It will automatically kick down to the next row. So that is what my flex wrap will do. Due to this, what happens? I can create multiple elements, but I'm not going to get the overflow of my element. Got it? So that's how my flex wrap will do. Got it? So now let's get back to 5 elements. Okay. So now you're able to understand what flex wrap direction will do. Arthamainda madam? Arthagida? Purinjida madam? Anybody have doubts? Online people, Ravi, Komala, Manjot, Manikanda, anybody have any doubts?
No, sir.
So clear, right? So far.
Yeah.
So now, for example, just imagine I created 5 elements in HTML by using, but without changing the position of HTML. That means swapping it here to here or this one here to here. I want this like this only, but in the browser, in the code wise, I want elements in order wise, but in the browser, I want element to swap like 5 in the second position, 3 in the 5th position, 4 in the first position, like that I need to swap. So if you want to do such things, that is where I got with one of the property called as order. Okay. So order. So order, what it will do? Order will help me to swap or reorder my elements. Okay. So how it will work is, for example, this child 5, I want in which position? Child 3 position. So automatically what I'll do? I'll take a class child 5 and order. What is the order I need? Order of 3. In the third position I need. So I'll give order 3. If you see, I given order as 3, but it didn't reflect it to my element. Why? Can you tell me? It is similar to the position topic only. For example, just imagine I kept 5 bricks one by one. If I remove any brick in the middle one, what happens? My order got collapsed, right? Automatically, for example, if I remove the third brick and keep it on the top, again my order got reversed. 5 will become 3, again 5 will become 3, infinite loop. Understood? So if I just remove it and keep it here, what happens? 3, it will go. Again, space or reorder will happen, right? Continuously. So whenever I was using order, I can't use for a single element. Why? Because it is going to affect the other elements order and it is going to go for infinite loop. So let's do one thing. Child 3, I want in which order? 5, right? Now, is it worked or not? But if you see, child 5 is still in the 4th position, not in the 5th. Why? Because child 3 is in the middle. Okay, I can kick it to last position. But last one element, I can't kick it to in between element. So if I want to make it in that way, I need to give order to each and every element. I need to mention the proper order it need to maintain. That means I need to give order 1 to this, order 2 to this, and this one, child 4, I need in order. For example, child 4, I need in position of 1. So what I need to give? Child 4, what is the order will be now? Order will be 1. So same way, now let's see. Now what happened? Still same as I mentioned, in between element you can't pick it to in between, again inside, but you can kick the in between element to the outside. Last elements it can apply. So if first one I need in the which position? 4th position. Second one, sorry, second I need in 4th position, one in 3rd position. Okay. So child 1 I need in 4th position, and child 2 I need in, okay, child 1 in 3rd position, child 2 in, okay, already order 3 I have 5, right? 4, 1, 2 is missing, right? Okay, let me make it. Okay, so now if you see, is it changed properly or not? How were we given? So if you see child 1, we give an order of 2, it is in the 2nd order. Child 2, we give an order as 4, it is in the 4th position. Child 3, we give an order as 5, it is in the 5th position. Child 4 in the 1st position. Child 5 in the 3rd position. So here if we deal with the individual element order, it is going to affect the remaining order. So that's why whenever we deal with order, we need to deal with all the elements in the parent. If I have 2 elements or 10 elements, I need to deal with everything. Or else you can write the order calculations you'll have. Okay. If you go with advanced concept, you can check that also. For time being, just use this. Okay. So now let me do one thing. Let me make it parent height as okay. So width of 200, also give height of 100 px I'll give, and parent height I'll give height of 100 px. So these are not okay. I don't know. Okay, now if you see, these are not the only flex properties. There are many more properties that you need to check. Okay, so flex is a very important layout system which you are going to use for your lifetime for creating the layouts. Okay, so try to check what are the remaining other properties that you will get in this flex. Now I'll just wind up the session with layout alignment properties. Okay, that means just imagine I want these all elements to be centrally aligned. What I can do usually? Center, text center, I'll give as center or top bottom. In the same way, there are 2 properties. Okay, alignment properties. One is justify content, comma, align items. These are the 2 properties. So these 2 properties work in different way. So when you are dealing flex direction is row, that means row wise. Justify content will deal with horizontal alignment. Align items will deal with vertical alignment. Simply to say, justify content property deals in the width direction. Align items deals in the height direction. So now, if I want all these elements in the center of my page, this space should be equally divided on left and right. So in that case, what I can do for the parent, I can give justify content as center. Now, if you see, my element is in the center, right? So not only center, I have remaining in many other properties also. So if I give center, it is coming at the center. If I give end, it will go to the end. See there. If I give flex end, same. If I give flex start, left starting. But if you want to give in between, now if you see, I given space around. What it means space around? Whatever the space I left on the left space, I giving to each and every element equally. For example, just imagine I have 100 px space left on the right side. I want to divide it to equally in between the elements. So what happens? I'll tell that each element will have how much space? 10px left, 10px right. Each element will have 10px. In that case, so first element, if you see here, equally space divided or not? Around. So that is what my space around will do. So if you see, first one is less space is there. First and last have less space, but in between have more space. Why? Because first I have only left side space, but right side here in the middle I have this element space also is there. This element space also is there. It is equally dividing space to each and every element. So that is what space around will do. If you go space between, the space is getting created in between the element. If I have 100px, I have how many elements? 5 elements. So how many spaces I'll get? 4. That means I'll get like 25px space I'll create between each and every element. Got it? If I go with space evenly, see, starting, middle, starting, middle, starting, each and starting and ending will have the equal space. Okay. So if you work on it, then only you will understand this, how this evenly and this and all working clearly. Okay. So that's how I can make my elements work alignments. I can deal with the alignment of my elements. I can make in the center, I can make in the starting or end, I can even divide individual spaces of the element. Got it? Anybody have any doubt in this with this property? Clear? So now just imagine the same way, if I want to align these elements in the center, what I need to deal with? I need to deal with the align items property. So if I give center, now if you see, my element is exactly at the center, both horizontally and vertically at the center point. My element is there. Got it? So same thing. If you give like flex end, flex start, and also what else we have? Self start, start stretch, and we have baseline. See, baseline in the sense starting. Okay, center, end. So when we are dealing with vertical, we'll not get that many properties. Okay, like how we got with the horizontal. Okay, when we are dealing with the vertical alignment, center, start, end, and stretch. Stretch means top to bottom element is will occupy. So for example, flex direction, I'll make it as column. Okay. So if you see, any of my properties are getting applied? No, right? Because even though if it is applying, so in that cases, my justify content will be reversed. Why? Because now justify content will work in the vertical direction and align items will work in the horizontal direction, because I given flex direction as column. Got it? So by default, what is the flex direction? Row will be the default flex direction. Okay. So this is how you can deal with the alignment of your elements by using this justify content and align items. Okay. Center, align items as center, right? Yeah. So for example, just imagine if I want to keep this child content, not parent is already in the center. I want to deal with the child content. So that is where I have, if you see justify, if I type justify items, justify self, we have many other properties also. See, these many properties you have in justify for alignment when you use a flex. And when you go with the align also, see, align items we are using for child. For if you want to deal with the child content, align self. These are some of the properties will help you to deal. You can make this child for content also in the vertical, horizontal, center, or you can divide. Okay. So div is a very huge concept, and if you go in depth, you can create layouts by closing your eyes simply, and you can deal without any alignment and all directly by using the properties with the parent only. You can deal. If you see, I made the whole, if apart from padding, border, and width and height, if I given any properties to the child, each and everything is dealt with the parent only. So that is how my div flex property, flex layout will work out. Got it? So is it clear? Anybody have any doubts with this one? So what is your work today is try to go in depth in the flex. See, if you didn't check flex today, I'm telling tomorrow if I start grid, you'll get confused. So try to go in depth of the flex concept and try to check each and every property, how you can deal with the childs, how you can deal with the sub-childs, how you can deal with the content in the sub-childs and content in the child. So these all properties, you'll have hundreds of properties you'll get in the flex. Okay. So try to check those. Clear? Online people, is it clear? Ravi, Komala, Manjot, Manikanta. Anybody
Yes,
have
sir.
any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. So is it clear so far? Anybody have any doubts until now? Whatever the topics we discussed till today. Anybody have any doubts? Clear? Shall we close? Okay then. So tomorrow we'll be discussing about grid layout. So at least try to create the Archiver site layout today by using flex concept. It will be very easy now. Okay. Clear? Okay then. Thank you.